Hello class, this is Dr. Randy Butler. I'd like to take you through a little bit of information about the upcoming assignment 3-2 and walk through the assignment with you on an approach that I put together. I think that will be very simplistic and easy to follow. First, before we get started on assignment 3-2, I would like to make a few comments about the grading for this past week in assignment 1-1 and 1-2. 1-2 primarily is what I've graded so far. I will get to week 2 later on this week. I have to admit that most everybody that watched the video, I can tell if you watched the video, you did very well on the assignment. The one that didn't do watch the video did not do very well. So going forward, if you'll use these videos as the point of reference on how to approach these assignments, I think you'll do very well. One of the biggest issues that I saw was meeting the assignment requirements. You have to consider an assignment. We're in a project management class, so you consider the assignment your scope of work. And as part of that scope of work, you need to make sure you meet all of those requirements, that deliverables that are part of the project management process. So what I'm going to do first is walk through the case study assignment 3-2 and talk about the case study, where you can find it at. There's 4 different pages here. There's a lot of data. I don't want you to try to solve the case study. I want you to use the data from the case study to implement the project management practice that we're studying. Consider yourself as the project manager making the decisions about this project. There is missing data, such as there is no cost data that's in the case study, and it asks you to give the cost. So you're going to have to be creative and come up with a cost. I don't grade you on what cost you came up with or what people you put into the case study, into the project. I look for the project management processes that we're trying to implement here. So you're being graded not on how you solve the case study, but on how you apply the project management practices to the case study. So that means this type of case study or any others, you see what the practices are and how they're implemented. So first of all, let's walk through the assignment that's in week 3. I'll pull that over here. Hopefully we can get that up here and get it all squared away. It looks pretty good. Okay. What I've talked about here is specifically what the assignment calls for. There is a template. There are templates associated with this, and I'll go through those in just a few minutes. But what this grid is basically talking about what's in the rubric here, what is the key project management concept that you need to show here. Now, we just went through assignment 2-2, which was the journal. We talked about the financial models and sustainability from an economic standpoint. So what you need to hear is basically take this case study and look at what the feasibility is based upon financial models, weighted scoring, how you would select a project, and talk about the numeric and non-numeric concepts that can be used here. Then you go on to the strategic goals. I'm going to talk about that in a few minutes. I have that on the agenda. There's a specific section for strategic goals. Well, let me just go ahead and pull it over here. And that is in, let's see here. That is in alignment with strategic goals. That's in chapter 2 of MindEdge. I don't think I can pull that over. But it is in 2.03.1, alignment with strategic goals. So read this, look at the requirements, traceability matrix. This is what you need to look for, and specifically with the with answering that question. So I'm going to pull that back out now, and let's go back in it and look here at the charter. which you're worked on last week, and the discussion. There is a charter in MindEdge that you can use. I'll show that in a few minutes. There is a create a high-level timeline. There is a template for that. Now, when we get to, I talk about on each one of these, provide a one-paragraph explanation of why you would include a project charter down here, how you would include identify a high-level timeline and cost estimate. Talk about those. There are templates here for the high-level timeline and the project charter. The next one is E would be the identify the concerns of the internal and external stakeholders concerns. Again, provide a paragraph of why this is important to identify the stakeholders' concern. Why would you do it? F is to compare the level of support of all the key stakeholders. And I have a stakeholder register here that specifically goes through that, and you have areas where you can identify the stakeholder, and I don't care who the stakeholder is. You can make up your whole family's name. I don't care. As long as you've got names in there, phony addresses, phony email information, put it in the register, and you'll see how there's one column I think talks about the level of support, and you identify the level of support. And finally, the stakeholder analysis template here. That is in section, let me go, I'm going to have to go back. I lost it off my screen here. I think it's 1.2.1. It's back in the first chapter in MindEdge, and it's also in the Rubik. You can find it in the Rubik specifically. Now these are the templates down here. There's a milestone 1 template for submittal, I believe that is, where I just give you what it should look like here. This is how you format your paper. So follow this format in submitting. It makes it so much easier for me to grade, and it also makes it easier for you to see what are the meeting the requirements. It has a cover page for you to use. Here are the subheaders and you basically put the one paragraph in and then put your template behind that. So let me just flip over here. I do have an example. So this is an example here. A young man that did an outstanding job on this several semesters ago. I've taught this class now, I think this year, my 30th class since I've been at SNHU. So this is a great template. Kind of looks like a legal document because I covered up all the names and a lot of the material, but you can follow along here to see how this is pulled together. And my recording window, let me slide that over. There we go. So you can see here that they provided the content here in about 2 paragraphs. Everything's double spaced. And they get down to, here's the next one's the strategic goals. And they talk about the strategic goals. We just mentioned where that was at back in Module 2. And here's a project charter. In MindEdge, there is a project charter, and here it is. You can just reuse that. That's fine. Don't have to go to a lot of detail. I just want you to make sure you understand what a project charter is. The next one's a high-level timeline. You can see talks specifically here. Of course, it's covered up, but he talks about what the high-level timeline is, why it's important, what does it do, cost situation. Now we've got over here, he's taken his portrait Word document and turned it into a landscape document. And I have a little video included in the announcement where you can do that. And he's moved that over. He's used the template that I provided here. He's come up with his description of the task, the planned duration days. These were all basically his decision. I don't look at that part of it. I look at the fact that you've got the content that's required to be able to do the project plan. So you look across here and he's come up with the cost, the estimated cost in dollars. Okay. So we go on, and the next one is the stakeholder concerns. The same thing. He's got a paragraph specifically that's addressed to why we are doing stakeholder concerns, and then the template that's at the bottom of the announcement. And then The next one, the stakeholder support, and specifically here you're comparing the stakeholders and their level of support of the project. There is a stakeholder analysis template associated with that, and here's the stakeholder analysis template. So you can see exactly what that is. And he's got 3 pages. All you need is about a half a page of names. You don't have to go to this level of detail. And finally, the power, attitude, and interest grid is your stakeholder analysis and how that's done. And that is, I believe, back in section, I think that's section 1.12.1. But that pretty much covers what the assignment is. So take a few minutes, go through it, make sure you understand what you're looking for, make sure you put this together in a means that you understand what is required. That is the main thing. What I always like to do is use a checklist to make sure I've met all the requirements of the assignment. And finally, one thing I wanted to do, if I still have it here, I think it may have disappeared away from me, but let me find the, real quickly, the, there it is, right here, okay. Oh, okay, here is the stakeholder analysis. Okay, I believe that's it. No, it's a graded case study. I'm sorry. Okay, let's pull this back over here. This is the rubric. And here is that template I was talking about. It's available here in the rubric for the stakeholder, the stakeholder analysis. And here's some the requirements. Here we talk about on B, explain how the project aligns with the strategic goals using the traceability. I went through that. The stakeholder analysis, the support. So follow those. Now remember, what we're doing here is we're talking about proficient, needs improvement, and not evident. So if you do not address each one of these areas, or if you try to combine them and I can't find out where you put this and put that one and put this one and put the next one, you're going to lose the points associated with those the rubric elements. The best thing to do is use my template, address each one of these, feasibility, strategic goals, project charter, each of them separately. So that pretty well covers it. Let me go back to my present. I think we've covered everything here on my agenda, so if you have any issues whatsoever, please use the discussion board general questions. That's where I'd like to see everybody use that, because it will allow other people that have questions to see and benefit from your questions. So otherwise, if you can't get an answer, I monitor that all the time, but you can email me directly. And I would rather you use the discussion board if you can. If you have something that you don't want to put on there, that's fine. Just go ahead and email me. Good luck, and hopefully now each week I'll be trying to do this and give you some feedback on grading and also on the next assignment. Take care.